What if I told you the most famous performer in history once shared a single bedroom with 5 siblings? That before the Moonwalk, the music videos, and the global fame, Michael Jackson's story began in a small house in Gary, Indiana, bursting with talent but also discipline and challenges. By the end of this video, you'll see a side of Michael Jackson most people never talk about. And the last fact might just change how you think about him. Forever, Michael Jackson was born on August 29, 1958, into a family of 9 children. The Jacksons lived in a tiny house in Gary, Indiana. Imagine 6 brothers crammed into a single bedroom while their parents worked tirelessly to make ends meet. It was a life of simplicity, but it was also the foundation for greatness. The Jackson 5 changed everything. As their talent gained attention, the family's fortunes turned around, moving them from a modest home in Gary to the bright lights of West Hollywood. But behind the success lay an intense upbringing. Joseph Jackson, Michael's father, wasn't just a parent, he was a taskmaster. His strict rules and relentless drive for perfection pushed Michael and his siblings into a life of rigorous resolve and relentless discipline. Michael would later describe his father's approach as both motivating and scaring. While it helped shape him into the performer the world admired, it also left a lasting impact on his mental and emotional well-being. And that's just the beginning. Stick around, because in the coming sections we'll uncover how Michael's unique childhood influenced his creativity, personal choices, and the unforgettable legacy he left behind. And trust me, there's a surprising twist in fact, number 12, that will completely reshape how you see the king of pop. Michael Jackson wasn't just a performer. He was an innovator who constantly pushed boundaries. But how did he manage to lean so far forward in Smooth Criminal without falling flat on his face? And what's the real story behind his most iconic dance move? Let's find out. One of Michael's most jaw-dropping feats was his gravity-defying lean in the Smooth Criminal music video. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. How could a human being pull off such an impossible move? The secret was hidden in his shoes. Michael, along with his team, patented a special design that allowed him to anchor his feet into the stage. This clever invention made the impossible possible, and it became one of his many signatures. And speaking of signatures, let's talk about the Moonwalk. Michael didn't invent this move, though he turned it into a global phenomenon. The Moonwalk was inspired by the French mime Marcel Marceau, whose smooth, gliding movements fascinated Michael. He studied and refined it, making it uniquely his own. When he debuted the Moonwalk during the Motown 25 special in 1983, it wasn't just a dance step, it was a moment that changed pop culture forever. But Michael wasn't just a performer, he was a creator. He had a vision that extended beyond the stage. His performances combined music, art, and technology in ways the world had never seen before. Each move, each sound, and even the tiniest detail of his work were meticulously planned to leave audiences in awe. And if you think that's impressive, wait until you hear about his love for reading and how it fueled his creative genius. The story of his library and what he learned from it is coming up soon, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. We know Michael Jackson is a larger-than-life performer, but what about the man behind the spotlight? Did you know he had a library so massive that he once faced nearly $1 million in overdue fees? And there's more, his personal life was full of surprises that reveal just how complex he really was. Michael Jackson had an insatiable curiosity about the world. He wasn't just a performer, he was a thinker and a dreamer. His love for books was legendary, with a private collection of over 10,000 volumes. From philosophy to history, Michael's reading interests were as varied as his music. He believed knowledge was power, and he used it to fuel his creativity and deepen his understanding of the world. But even in his personal life, Michael's choices stood out. His children's names, for instance, were a reflection of his deep attachment to his family and legacy. Michael Joseph Jackson Jr., Paris Michael Catherine Jackson, and Prince Michael Jackson II, nicknamed Blanket, all carried his name. For Michael, this wasn't just a tradition, it was his way of creating a lasting bond with his children and ensuring their connection to his legacy. Yet life wasn't always smooth for the king of pop. Despite earning billions during his career, Michael struggled with financial instability in his later years. Extravagant spending, costly legal battles, and maintaining his iconic Neverland Ranch took their toll. By the time of his passing, reports indicated he was over $400 million in debt. For someone who seemed to have it all, these struggles highlighted the complexities of balancing fame, fortune, and personal challenges. Michael's personal life was a world of contrasts, brilliant yet burdened, simple in some ways and extravagant in others. But there's still so much more to uncover. Coming up, you'll hear about how he shattered racial barriers and changed the music industry forever. And trust me, the next section will make you appreciate his impact even more. What does it take to break barriers that have stood for decades? For Michael Jackson, it took one iconic music video. But while he shattered ceilings and redefined the music industry, he also faced accusations and controversies that tested his legacy. Let's unravel both sides of his impact. In 1983, Michael Jackson made history when his music video for Billie Jean became the first by a black artist to air on MTV. At the time, the network faced criticism for its lack of diversity, and Billie Jean changed everything. It wasn't just a song, it was a cultural shift that opened doors for countless black artists to gain visibility on mainstream platforms. This moment solidified Michael as more than a performer, he was a trailblazer who reshaped the industry. But Michael's influence wasn't just about breaking barriers in music. He was also one of the most charitable celebrities in history. During his Dangerous World Tour, he donated every single dollar of profit, over $100 million, to charity. From funding hospitals to supporting children's education, Michael's philanthropy left a lasting legacy of kindness and generosity. However, no conversation about Michael Jackson is complete without addressing the controversies that surrounded him. Throughout his career, he faced serious accusations of child molestation. In 2005, a highly publicized trial ended with his acquittal on all charges. Years of investigations, including one by the FBI, found no concrete evidence against him, but the allegations lingered. These controversies remain a divisive part of his story, leaving fans and critics to debate his legacy to this day. Michael's impact was extraordinary, but it came with challenges that few could endure. Yet there's an even deeper layer to his story that ties all of this together, a story of reinvention and resilience. And in the next section, we'll see how his artistry and determination left a legacy that still influences the world today. How does someone stay at the top of their game while the world watches their every move? Michael Jackson faced challenges that could have crushed anyone else, but he always found a way to reinvent himself and keep his legacy alive. The secret to his resilience: it's not what you'd expect. Michael Jackson wasn't just about music and dance, he was a master of reinvention. Each album, each tour, and each performance marked a new chapter in his career. After the Thriller era, many believed he couldn't top himself, but then came Bad, Dangerous in his story. Each album brought a fresh sound and vision, proving he was always one step ahead of the industry. His ability to adapt wasn't just about music. Michael turned personal struggles into creative fuel. Take his skin condition, vitiligo. Public speculation about his changing appearance was relentless, but Michael used his platform to address it, openly discussing his diagnosis in a rare 1993 interview. By sharing his truth, he shed light on a condition many knew little about and shifted the narrative, even if only slightly. But perhaps Michael's most profound reinvention came later in life when he became a father. Despite his fame, he was fiercely protective of his children, ensuring they experienced as much normalcy as possible. He shielded their faces from the media, focusing on giving them a childhood far different from his own. This role as a father showed a more tender and private side of Michael, one rarely seen by the public. Michael's story was never just about his challenges. It was about how he overcame them time and time again. And if you think you know everything about his resilience, wait until the final section, where we reveal a fact that ties together all the complexities of his life in a way you won't see coming. Michael Jackson's influence didn't stop with music. From breaking racial barriers to inspiring generations of performers, his legacy transcends entertainment. But there's one surprising way he shaped the world that might leave you speechless. Michael's music wasn't just popular, it was revolutionary. He turned music videos into cinematic experiences, setting the standard for generations to come. Tracks like Thriller weren't just songs, they became cultural milestones. Decades later, his work continues to inspire artists across genres, proving that his genius was timeless. But his impact stretched far beyond the stage. Michael's philanthropic work quietly changed countless lives. Through his Heal the World Foundation, he supported everything from disaster relief to children's hospitals, touching people he never met. His actions reflected his belief that music could heal and unite, making his artistry a force for global good. Even in death, Michael Jackson's legacy continues to grow. Tributes pour in from every corner of the world, and his influence can still be seen in today's music, dance, and fashion. His Guinness World Record for the most charities supported by a pop star remains a testament to his generosity and sense of responsibility. But what's perhaps most surprising is how Michael's life continues to challenge societal norms about race, fame, and individuality. His ability to balance vulnerability with confidence, and his willingness to push the limits of what was possible, ensured that his story would remain one of the most compelling in history. And there's one more fact, number 12, that ties his entire legacy together. It's the moment that defines why Michael Jackson is more than a musician, and why his impact will never fade. Don't miss it in the final section. Here it is, fact number 12. The one detail about Michael Jackson's life that truly encapsulates who he was and why his legacy endures. It's a story that reveals his humanity in a way few people know. In the late 1980s, Michael Jackson secretly visited hospitals and orphanages while on tour. He would often disguise himself to avoid attracting attention, spending hours talking to patients, funding treatments, and even delivering toys to children. What's truly astonishing is that these acts of kindness were done without fanfare. Michael didn't want credit. He simply wanted to help. One particularly touching moment occurred in Hungary, where he funded the operation of a young boy who desperately needed a liver transplant. Michael didn't just pay for the surgery, he stayed in contact with the boy's family, ensuring they had everything they needed for recovery. This final story sums up Michael Jackson's life. Despite his fame, fortune, and the controversies that surrounded him, he never stopped trying to make the world a better place. His compassion, creativity, and resilience are why his name remains unforgettable. Call to action now that you've heard these incredible facts. It's time to reflect. Which one surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments and let others know about the side of Michael Jackson that often goes untold. And here's something to think about. How can his legacy inspire us to be kinder, more creative, or braver in our own lives? Keep that question in mind and maybe even pass it along to someone who could use a little inspiration today.